What is a cluster? A cluster is any layout of balls on the table where there isn't a clear path or there isn't an open shot from any of the object balls in question to any pocket. So basically it's an obstruction on the table. Beginners and just passive observers of the game of pool can recognize a cluster. They can see it as an obstacle. So they're very easy to see. It's very obvious. Now, learning how to deal with clusters is what I like to call an emergent skill. If your cue ball control has grown to the point where you can recognize a cut angle, where you can recognize a one rail position play, where you recognize your two rail position plays, and you're able to execute those, having the ability to break out a cluster sort of grows from that. The best way to develop those skills is what I've talked about in the past, is doing drills, individual drills, going from an easy drill, an easy representation of the drill, to a more difficult representation of the drill. Set goals, work towards those goals, and take it one step at a time. So just about every video I talk about, where I talk about anything, I'm going to harp on that one point. Another important point when you're developing the ability or the skill to break up clusters is the individual game that you play in your individual practice, or the games you play when you match up with your friends. The best game to learn to break up clusters is straight pool. It's going to come up the most playing straight pool. So if you really want to get good at recognizing position paths to break up clusters, I recommend playing 14.1 continuous straight pool. This will definitely help your cluster recognition and breaking up clusters in 8-ball. Not so much in 9-ball. 9-ball clusters, they don't come up as often, and it's usually something that you want to take a defensive strategy on. You really don't want to. You really want to let your opponent deal with that in 9-ball. But for the purposes of improving your game, I recommend 14.1 for improving your ability to break up a cluster. Here is the cardinal rule of breaking clusters. And it goes like this. Anytime you deal with a cluster, your ability to predict the exact outcome is going to be difficult. You may have a good idea of where the cue ball is going to land. You're definitely going to have a good idea of the first ball you're going to strike when you pocket a ball. You're going to know where that ball is going to go. You might have an idea of where your cue ball is going to go, but where the actual balls in the cluster are going to go is very difficult to predict. So with that in mind, this is the rule you need to go by when you're talking about clusters. When you pocket the ball and you plan your path into the cluster, you want to do it with no more than medium speed, medium to light speed. You never want to get into a cluster with a lot of speed, and this is why. You have your cluster here. You've pocketed the balls and you've gone into the cluster. If you hit it lightly, then you've accomplished your goal and you've freed up the balls. Now they can go. If you hit it with too much speed, what has just happened? You've created another cluster. Now this is kind of a bad example because I really don't have an adequate camera angle to show you on the table. But in a lot of situations, if you had more room, it illustrates the point more. If you really wail on the balls, chances are you're going to create another cluster. It may be even harder to deal with than the one you had before. So just, again, a repeat. This is the #1 rule for breaking clusters. When you break one, when you get into a cluster of balls, do not do it with a lot of speed. Some clusters aren't clusters at all. Some clusters are an easy opportunity to pocket a ball. And it really doesn't take a lot of cueing skill to execute these types of shots. It just requires having a little bit of vision to see it. The first example of a shot like this is what's called a dead combination. And a dead combination is a combination where the margin of error in striking the first object ball is very large. In this example here, really all you have to do is strike the 5 anywhere on this side of the ball and the 6 is going to go. So what you have, the opportunity you have in shots like this is to pocket a ball, and you've also taken care of a cluster. Another example, that's the most simple example. I'm going to move this closer because I don't have a very wide camera angle. This would be another opportunity to pocket a ball. Again, the margin of error really wide on the 5, 5 and the 6, dead combination for the 2. Some people, beginners, might see this as a problem, but actually, technically, this is a very easy shot to execute. Another example of an easy cluster to resolve is when you have an example of a throw shot. And Bob Byrne does a really great job in his book and his video in explaining the dynamics of a throw shot. And basically what a throw shot is when 2 balls are frozen together, and you use, in the earlier video where I discussed aiming cut shots, I discussed the throw effect. And in this case, you can use the throw effect to your advantage. And it's basically hitting the cue ball into the 5, into the 6, and the 5 pushes the 6 into the pocket. Now, the technical way of saying it is it was thrown into the pocket. Here's another variation of it. You would strike the 5 here in this way, and the 5 would throw the 6 into the pocket. Let me come up with another, probably better example. If I struck the 5 in this way, in this fashion, the 5 would then throw the 6 into the corner. Okay, now, if you have all kinds of traffic, something like this, all you would have to do is recognize the 5, 6, the throw shot that's dead for the 13 in the corner, and it would be a very simple shot to cue, to execute. It just would require the vision to do so.